Hi guys, welcome back. Sorry. I was still in the middle of my little lunch. Um and I saw the judge's head pop in and I was like, "Oh, I better go ahead and go now." So, put my banner up. Hey everybody, welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Michelle says first. Miss King says second. Akasha says, "Dang it." Mm. If we end up waiting through lunch only for a mistrial to get called, oh, I know, right? Oh my God. I don't think that's going to happen. I was reading on Twitter just now that so Gigi said the defense is having a brief recess to talk to Zachary Hughes about his testimony. Hold on, let me move this out of the way so I can. Oh no! What did I do? I did something. I hit something on my keyboard. I don't know what I did. What did I do? I don't think I did anything. I hope not. Anyway, it says um, the defense is having a brief recess to talk to Zachary Hughes about his testimony. Hughes did not tell the judge he wouldn't say it again. He said he would try about the CSAM, but also says he placed his hand on the Bible to tell the truth. Ooh. Mm. Wow. Okay. Ooh, this is going to get good. Gigi said 12 minutes ago, Zachary Hughes tells the jury John Mello told him where everyone would be the morning of the murder, October 13th. Wow. Mm-mm-mm. All right. Well, we just wait till they come back. Just wait till they come back. Hey, Cynthia, welcome back. Margaret, hi, all. Good news. Puppy is okay. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. Hey, Cherie, welcome back. Hey, Donnie. Morgana Banana. Thank you, ma'am. Please don't forget to smear your DNA all over that thumbs up button. Thank you, thank you, thank you. They are for sure. Right, Michelle? Mm-hmm. They are for sure. Wait, what was pretend? Oh, God. Do you guys not hear me literally or see me? Oh my God, I think you guys are pulling my leg. Spin says, is Jenny even there? Michelle says, I thought I was going deaf. What? We can hear and see you couldn't earlier. Oh, okay. 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 Shoo. All right. Good deal. Okay. Good deal. Everybody. Okay. We're good. We're good. Um. Hey, Patricia. Good to see you, honey. Good to see you. Welcome back, Latanya and Alice. Akasha. Sherry. Hi, guys. Hi, guys. Thank you, Cherie. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so they should be on any moment. We're in real time. Volume is up. We are ready to roll as soon as they are. Here we go. I'm going to mute and turn my camera off so I can inhale the rest of my lunch.
Ladies and gentlemen, as I stated at the outset of this trial, I am the sole judge of the law in the case, while you, the jury, sit as the judge of the facts. And part of my role is to make determinations about what evidence can and cannot be admitted and presented to you, the jury. The gatekeeping role rests solely with me, the judge on the law, and I want to instruct you that you're not to consider any testimony that I have instructed you to disregard. Furthermore, you should not even mention or discuss any testimony that I've instructed you to disregard, and I instruct you not to discuss any topics that have been ruled improper when you go to do your deliberation room, okay? All right, please continue, Mr. Mormon.
Yeah, good luck with that. Good luck with that.
Will incorporates.
Zach, before we broke for lunch, we were in the time period of end of September, beginning of October of 2021. You remember that?
Yes.
And Zach, you testified before lunch about two offers John had made you to kill Christina Parcell. Do you remember that?
I remember.
And do you remember, after the second offer, telling John something to the effect of, you would never do that for money, you would only do that if you believed it was necessary to rescue Aida?
And if I believed there was no other way.
At the end of September, beginning of October 2021, did you conclude that you had to rescue Aida and there was no other way?
Yes, I did.
Let's talk about what's happening in your life in the beginning of October 2021. And specifically, I want to talk about the status of the music project you had been engaged with Tom Strange and the Seagull Museum. I also want to talk about other employment opportunities. So tell the jury what was going on in your life on that front at the beginning of October.
At the beginning of October, I was just coming off finishing the project at the museum. We finished in September at some point, and as I mentioned before, my birthday is October 2nd, so I had arranged to play a private home recital at the Wynn's home, where I would play the last three piano sonatas of Beethoven on my birthday. So these are very, very difficult pieces of music, and some of the greatest pieces of music ever written. So I was very preoccupied trying to give my best to these pieces. And shortly after that, a friend of mine reached out who had done some work performing on cruise ships. There's an organization called Lincoln Center Stage that recruits conservatory-trained musicians to form either a piano quartet or a piano quintet to play classical concerts on cruise ships. And they had had a pianist drop out at the last minute, and long story short, I interviewed for this job and got this job, I think on October 12th, but it was about that time, maybe a little earlier.
Where were the winds on October 12th and 13th?
They were in Europe.
And ultimately, did you take Christina Parcells' life on October the 13th?
Yes, because I believed it was absolutely necessary to save Aida, and I was right.
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained. I ask you to disregard the testimony that you just heard.
I want to talk about the timing. You've alluded to it a little bit, but I want to be more specific. October the 13th. Describe for the jury why you felt that was the time, why you believed or why it was necessary to do it on October the 13th, specifically, or in this period of time.
I had been wrestling with this since June. As I previously stated, since the end of June, I believed Aida was in complete and grave danger every moment of her life that she was living with her mother. And the other things that I had tried to do to save her from that were not working. So I was having this incredible wrestling match within myself for these months, feeling that I needed to do something to save her, and yet feeling this incredible reluctance to do the one thing that I knew would save her because of how terrible I knew it would be to do it, even though I believed it would be right. So by the time October 13th rolled around, I had been grappling with this for a long time, and I was experiencing a tremendous amount of guilt that I had waited as long as I did, because I should have acted sooner, and I didn't do that. So I had come to the realization that I had gotten this offer to go on this cruise ship, and I would have been leaving the country for a long time. Essentially, it was now or never. I had an opportunity to save her from a danger that I knew she was in, and that I knew was not going to cease. And I just couldn't go on with my life and leave her to drown. I mean, I had a great life. I had everything. I made money doing what I loved. I was going to be going to the South Pacific to play concerts for rich people on cruise ships. I mean, but how could I go and enjoy that and know that I was leaving a kid to her fate, a kid who thought that I was her friend? I would never have been able to look at myself in the mirror again if I had done that. So, specific to October 13th, I believed that there would be a period of time at the house when Christina Parcells would be alone. And I wanted to make sure that absolutely no one was there. Not Aida, not Lutina, not Brad Post. Because again, this was not about revenge or retribution or anything. I wasn't angry. The only thing I was feeling that day was pity. And I wanted to make sure that no bystander or no one else would be involved in this, which could have happened if someone else was there.
Zach, let's talk about that. So, once you concluded.
I just had a thought. Would it be bad if I just really want him to get to the part with the roses? Like, will he tell us what happened with the roses? Surely he'll tell us what happened with the roses, right? I don't know. We'll see.
Believed absolutely this was what you had to do, did you go about planning?
Yes, I planned very carefully to make sure, one, like I said, that no one else would be involved in this. And two, I knew that if I tried to do this and failed, it would only be worse for Aida.
And consistent with the court's instructions, why did you believe it'd be worse for Aida?
Because I believed that if I was discovered doing this, it would connect me to John Mello. And I believed, and I still believe, that he's a great father and he is Aida's best shot at having a happy and safe childhood.
Let's talk about the planning. Did you get a gun?
Yes.
At the time, were you also carrying your own firearm?
Yes, I had a concealed weapons permit at the time, so I generally would always be carrying a 9mm concealed weapon on my person for personal protection.
Did you get another firearm for this?
Yes, I did.
What type of firearm did you get?
It was a .22 caliber revolver
Where did you get it?
at a gun show.
Where was the gun show?
It was here in Greenville.
How long before October 13th did you get the 22?
Maybe a month or a month and a half earlier.
That's a cool thought, Donnie.
Did you also get a knife?
Yes, I did.
Where did you get the knife?
At the gun show.
At about the same time?
It was the same day.
Let's talk about what else, what other planning you did. Did you obtain gloves?
Yes, I did.
Do you remember where you got the gloves?
No, I don't.
Did you obtain any chemicals?
Yes, I bought some paint thinner because, again, I didn't want to be connected to this because I wanted to make sure this would actually do something to save Aida. So in case a glove had broken or I had left a fingerprint or something, I wanted to be able to clean it with the paint thinner.
Zach, let's talk about your bike and what you did to become familiar with the area of Canebrake leading up to October the 13th.
I had looked at a route I would be able to take from the mountain house that I was staying at on back roads to avoid traffic cameras. So maybe a few days beforehand, I looked at Google Maps and I figured out how this route would lead.
Let's talk about October the 12th. Did you originally plan to do this on October the 12th?
Yes.
Zach, consistent with the court's instructions, describe to the jury why you didn't do it on October the 12th.
I woke up that day and I just felt such reluctance, and something in my gut told me it wasn't the right day. And I waited one more day.
Let's go to October the 13th. You testified earlier that you wanted a plan in part to prevent or minimize danger to others. Remember that?
Yes, I do.
Did you have information about where people would be on October the 13th?
To a degree, yes.
How did you get that information?
From John Mello.
What did he tell you?
He told me when Aida would be at school, and he told me that he believed Christina had a job interview at some point that morning.
So let's talk about that morning. The evening of October the 12th, where did you spend the night?
At the Mountain House.
You woke up on the morning of October 13th and you left the Mountain House, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Do you remember approximately when you left the Mountain House?
It was much later than I meant to. I think it was about 8 or 8:15 in the morning.
When you left the Mountain House, in which vehicle did you leave?
In my Ford Ranger.
What was in the back of the Ford Ranger?
My bike.
That bike right there?
Yes.
And just for the clarity of the record, this is a state's exhibit. I don't have the number that was introduced. What else did you put in your pickup truck in addition to the bike?
I brought the gloves, and I put this in a backpack. I brought the paint thinner and the gun I described, the .22. I brought a knife, and I brought a box that was made to look like a gift wrapped box, and a bunch of roses that I had bought the day before.
Talk about the roses in a minute. When you left the Mountain House, where did you?
Donnie was right. He pretended to be a delivery man. Donnie, I'm telling you, girl, you nailed this days ago. Bingo.
Go.
I drove to a road that runs parallel very close to Canebrake.
When you got to that location, well, before we go further, describe for this jury the ride in your truck from the Mountain House to this location, what you were thinking, what you were feeling, what was going through your mind.
Like I said, I had wrestled with this for months. I had come to the point where rationally I knew that the only way Aida was going to be saved from what she was enduring was for me to take this route. I knew that. But there's another element, a human element, which is just so reluctant and revulsed by the idea of taking a human life. So I had prayed a great deal about this. I had prayed like I'd never prayed before, because even knowing that logically this was the right thing to do, it didn't satisfy that emotional and human aspect where I felt that I needed permission to do this. And I was so terrified that somehow I might be doing the wrong thing. Like I knew that it was right logically, but there's the emotional aspect was just reeling against this idea. And more so because she was a woman. I was raised to always protect my sisters and mother, and I opened doors for women growing up. So this idea was just repugnant to me, even though I believed it was necessary to save a child. So on that morning, I had prayed earlier, a few days earlier, and I had felt that this was the right thing to do, no matter how terrible and difficult it was going to be. So like I said, I didn't feel anger. I felt pity because I realized that this was just the only way to save a child. And it felt like a foregone conclusion because I knew that I had a duty to do this to save a child. So physically driving my truck there, I was experiencing a level of anxiety and physical illness that I had just never experienced due to stress before. My hands were shaking, I was in a cold sweat, and I was fighting the urge to vomit before I even got close there. A few times I thought I was going to have to pull off to the side of the road because I could hardly keep my truck straight. My hands were shaking so badly. But the whole time I was just thinking, if I don't do this, if I turn back, then I'm consigning Aida to her fate, when I know that I could have done something to stop what was happening. So I just tried to take my mind off of it, and I tried to just go and drive a little bit farther and a little bit farther and not think about what I was going to have to do when I got there. And when I finally got to the point where I parked my truck, this feeling only increased. I knew the plan, but I was having so much difficulty going through with it. So I took my bike out of the truck, and I had a mask on and clothing that's been described already. And I just tried to focus on putting one foot in front of the other on my bike. And it felt like some runs or rucks I had been on where all I could do was focus on putting one foot in front of the other because it was so difficult to keep going. And I just kept seeing Aida's face and reminding myself that if I don't do this, no one's going to come to save her. And I kept pedaling, and eventually I arrived in front of 122 Canebrake.
We're going to talk about what happened when you got to 122 Canebrake in just a second. You described having a gun and having a knife. Initially, were you going to use the gun?
Yes.
Did you ultimately decide to use the gun?
No.
Why not?
I was very concerned about using a gun because of how loud it would be. And I didn't want to alert a neighbor or a bystander who might come to investigate and get involved. So I tried to suppress the gun by making a makeshift suppressor. And in movies, these things are made out to be like it's very easy, and a suppressed gun is just very silent, and that's not the case. So ultimately, I test fired the gun, and I had bought some subsonic ammunition, which is supposed to be quieter, but I didn't realize that on a revolver, a suppressor doesn't work because the end of the cylinder is open. And I realized just a day or two beforehand that I couldn't use a gun because it could potentially involve someone else in this if someone heard a gunshot and came to investigate.
If you had had a choice, would you have rather used a gun?
I would have rather not to have had to have done it at all, but if I had to, yes, I would have chosen a gun
Why is that?
because it would have been quicker and more humane.
All right, let's talk about you arrive at the
humane.
house. In 122
More humane. So he's admitting that stabbing her 32, 6, 1,200, I don't know. I think it was 36 or 31 times. Maybe it was 31 times in the face, and then the rest 5. Because I know she was stabbed in the chest and the arms and stuff. But anyway. Oh my God.
came, right? Do you remember about what time you arrived there?
I think it was a little after 9 in the morning.
And do you arrive there on your bike? Is that how you-
Yes,
And you testified about this a little bit, but tell the jury what you're wearing.
I had on black pants and a black thermal and a gray shirt over that. I had on a black beanie and a white medical mask, and I had on black gloves and a black backpack.
So that was him then that we saw. Why were they trying to argue it wasn't him?
Do you remember how many vehicles were parked in the driveway when you got there?
1.
When you arrived at the house and you got off your bike, what did you do?
I laid my bike down in the driveway, and I took my backpack off, and I took out the box that had been gift wrapped that had an end open, and I put the .22 revolver in that box. And I put the backpack back on my back, and I took a bunch of roses, and I walked up to the door and I rang the doorbell. And I was shaking and freaking out at this point because there was nowhere I wanted to be less than at that house on that morning. And when I rang the doorbell, the door opened and a woman came to the front. And I thought it was Christina Parcell, but I wanted to make sure. And I also wanted to make sure that no one else was home. So I told her that while I was holding the box and the roses, that I had a delivery for Lutina Parcell, her sister. And she told me that Lutina wasn't home. So at this point, I realized that Christina was at the house alone. And I handed her the roses. And I took the revolver out of the box and I pointed it at her. And I told her to be quiet and to go back into the house, which she did. And I followed her into the house and I shut the door. And I I was experiencing such anxiety that my body wasn't really doing what I was telling it to do anymore. Like when I realized that I couldn't use the gun, which was unloaded at this point, my plan had been to try to knock her unconscious because I didn't want to cause her or anyone any pain. That wasn't my intention. I just wanted to save Aida and to make sure that no one else who was a bystander would be involved in this or could be endangered in any way. So I tried, while she was holding the roses, to strike her on the head and knock her unconscious. But my body was fighting me because even though I knew who she was and what she was doing and the danger that was putting Aida in, I was still looking at her and I was seeing a sympathetic figure. I was seeing a woman, and I had always been taught never to hurt a woman, to always protect women and children. So when I went to strike her with the gun, my hand didn't really do what I was trying to tell it to. I essentially pulled my strike. It felt like a time I had been cliff jumping with friends. I have a big fear of heights, and there was a 30-foot face that you could jump off and jump into a deep pool of water, and when I would run up to the edge, I would try to get a running start and jump off the edge, and I just couldn't. Like my body would stop me against my will. And I had to try to do this 10 or 15 or 20 times before I could actually get myself to go over the edge. So when I struck her on the head with the pistol, that's what happened. It didn't knock her unconscious, and I hardly struck her at all, to be honest. So I tried again, and the same thing happened. I just couldn't bring myself to strike her. And at this point, she realized that I was hesitating, and she began to try to move herself and to get away and to fight back. And during this period of time, the roses had dropped and the petals and stems had scattered. And as I was hesitating, I realized that this situation was quickly getting out of control. And if I didn't pull myself together and act soon, this was all going to end up terribly for Aida, because what was happening to her would never be uncovered.
Zach, I'm sorry, just a quick question. You heard testimony that at this time, Christina weighed 163 pounds. How much did you weigh on October the 13th?
About 160.
Go ahead.
So I realized that I was going to have to somehow force myself to do this at any cost. So I pulled out the knife I was wearing. And even though I knew I wasn't going to be able to strike her with any amount of force, I still tried. So I started striking her, though my strikes were pulled. And I think the knife made contact with her, but it wasn't stopping her, and it wasn't inflicting anything that could be a fatal blow. And she started to fight back. She realized I was hesitating, and it became a struggle. And in this struggle, all I could do was try to overcome this resistance I had towards doing this thing. Even though I knew it was right, I still had this physical and emotional resistance to doing it. So I just kept striking her until finally we fell on the floor. And at this point, I had just tried to take my mind out of it and just try to get through this and finish it as quickly as possible, because I realized that it was only becoming prolonged, and I had to do this in order to save Aida. So I don't remember how many times I struck her. I just remember that when it finished, we were on the ground, and I stopped striking her when she stopped struggling. And at this point, I stood up, and I was still freaking out, and I was in kind of a daze. And I was just trying to pull myself together and figure out what I needed to do to leave the house. And again, I wanted to make sure that I didn't leave anything behind that would connect me to it, because then I believe John would be connected to it, and it would only further put Aida in danger, because I didn't know if Christina Parcell was the only person involved in what was happening to Aida. And she wasn't. So I quickly looked around to make sure I hadn't left a mask or a glove, and I started to pick up the rose petals and realized that I just didn't have time to do that. Again, I was concerned that a neighbor might have heard the commotion and that a neighbor might come by to investigate, and I didn't want that. So I drew the blinds and I moved her body away from the door, which had windows, because I didn't want someone to come to the door and see her. And I put my things back in the backpack, and I looked in a mirror before I left to make sure everything was in order, and I saw that she had scratched my face in the struggle. And of course I realized that this could leave DNA. So I used the paint thinner to try to clean her hands. And then I changed my mask, and I took off my outer shirt because there was blood on it. And I put it in the backpack. And at this point, I was really worried that someone, that Lutina might come back to the house, or Brad Post might come to the house, or a neighbor might come over. So I was trying to leave the house as quickly as possible. And before I left, when I realized that I had probably left my DNA there, despite my effort not to, I prayed again and just said that I believe that what I've done is the right thing, and I believe that I did it for the right reason. But if it's your will that I be connected to this, then I will turn myself in, and I will own up to what I've done, and I'll take responsibility for it, because I believed that it was the right thing. And then I left. I exited out through the door, and I got back on my bike, and I pedaled my bike back to the truck, and I drove back to the mountain house. And I was still completely freaking out, and it felt entirely surreal. But there is a big difference in how I felt, in that as soon as I left the house, I felt the most enormous wave of relief wash over me, because I knew from that moment on, Aida would be safe. Aida would be safe from the sexual abuse that her mother was perpetrating on her. And there is proof to that the state is hiding from you.
Instruction to be quiet.
Okay, you need to stop talking. The jury.
I'm muted. I did not know I was muted. Oh my God. Wow. We got to watch that again. Yeah. He's like, the judge is like everybody out of the courtroom right now. We got to watch that part again.
Connected to this, then I will turn myself in and I will own up to what I've done and I'll take responsibility for it because I believed that it was the right thing. And then I left. I exited out through the door and I got back on my bike and I pedaled my bike back to the truck and I drove back to the mountain house. And I was still completely freaking out and it felt entirely surreal. But there is a big difference in how I felt in that as soon as I left the house, I felt the most enormous wave of relief wash over me because I knew from that moment on, Aida would be safe. Aida would be safe from the sexual abuse that her mother was perpetrating on her. And there is proof to that the state is hiding from you.
Your Honor, instruct him to be quiet.
Okay, you need to stop talking. The jury.
Wow. Tanika, hi, ma'am. Are you still here? This has been an explosive day. All right. Let me go to the Twitters, see what Gigi's saying. She's our eyes and ears over there, huh? Mm-mm-mm. You guys, John Mello was just arrested. Breaking. John Mello has been arrested by Greenville County Sheriff's deputies following Zachary Hughes' testimony that Mello offered to pay Hughes to kill Christina Parcell. Oh my God. What are we even watching right now? What in this world? What in this world? Well, if he was at the courthouse with the kid waiting for her to testify. No, I don't think. I don't think that he has custody of her. I think she's in the custody of the aunt. If I'm not somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I thought she was in the custody of the aunt, not the dad. He has custody. Morgana says no. I think John has custody. My goodness. Wow. Hold on a minute. Judge is back. Well, I guess he changed his mind. Oh, God. Um, Investigators with the Greenville County Sheriff's Office have made another arrest in connection with the murder of Christina Parcell, who was killed on October 13th. A recent Greenville County Sheriff's Office press release reads, based on open court testimony during the active trial of Zach Hughes, along with existing evidence, investigators with the Greenville County Sheriff's Office obtained warrants on 64-year-old John Mello in connection with the death of Parcell. Earlier this afternoon at around 1:30 p.m., members of the GCSO Fugitive Apprehension Specialized Investigation Team arrested Mello at his residence located at 12 Blake Street in Greenville. Mello is facing charges of accessory before the fact to a felony and solicitation to commit a felony and will be escorted to the Greenville County Detention Center to await a bond hearing. Good Lord. Um, Somebody said, holy moly, this is like a TV show or a movie. I've watched a lot of trials and never have I watched anything like this. True. Hi, Amy. Welcome. It is crazy pants today. Gina Wright, this judge is probably wishing he would have been like, nah, on this case. Nah, somebody else can have this one. I don't want it. Mm-mm-mm. Someone said, surely there's more probable cause than what Zach said on the stand. Wow, and my heart breaks for the daughter. You got mine too. Now, I thought she was with the aunt. So if she is indeed, in fact, in the custody of her father, what now? We did learn today about the flowers and the weird smell. Yep, truth. Hold on just a second. Okay, I'm back. Husband got home from work and now he's headed out to get him a haircut. So, anyway, good Lord. You guys, I feel like I'm in a dream. Oh, judge's face again, gets a drink. He's like, I need something stronger in this cup than water. Let's check the Twitters. I'm not seeing nothing yet. Nothing new, anyway. Oh, Michelle said I handed him a whiskey neat. Guess he feels a whole lot of relief now. I know, right? And you know what? Because he said what he said about there's evidence of it that the state is hiding from you or is keeping from you or whatever. There you go. Now they're going to, and then because they threw such a massive fit, I mean, oh my God. I cannot believe this. Mm. Hold on. I keep looking and refreshing. It might be a mistrial this time. You know that those jurors are back there in that room, like, they're not supposed to be, but you know they are. Mm. I can't believe this. I mean, I'm at a loss for words. I don't even know what are they gonna do. Right, Akasha? At the very least, they're looking at each other like, WTF? I wouldn't think he would want another trial, right? I mean, I would. I would think that he would want another one because I think that he thinks that he would have a better shot at letting them get the information out. Yeah, I'd say the defense wants a new judge. So I would think that they wouldn't mind a mistrial right now. And the state is probably like, yeah, we're going to have a mistrial because I didn't want these jurors hearing all that mess. David's playing catch up. You're right, David, I know. David says, I'm still playing catch up. He's testifying about praying about doing this. Yeah, God's going to tell you it's okay to go murder someone. This whole story makes it premeditated. Yep. Lord, 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 Lord. Lord, have mercy. True, Akasha. He never said it wasn't premeditated. He said he had been thinking it over for months. Yeah. Spin says, all I can say is this is one way to entertain myself while I'm sitting in the ER. Why are you in the ER, ma'am? What are you in the ER for, Spence? The yawning has to stop. I'm sorry, I know it's contagious. Infection? What? I'm sorry, Spins. What kind of an infection? Michelle says, I need a nap. Yeah, I do too. Oh, God help me. Prayers, prayers, prayers. Sending Spins all the prayers, ma'am. Michelle said, hug Spins. Get the strong drugs. There you go. David said, if I was a juror, as soon as he said he was praying about murdering her, it would be over for me. Yeah. Snow falling is making you sleepy. Spence says it's okay. I'm used to them by now. You mean the hospital or the drugs or the infection? Goodness mercy. The judge is just going to come back out and again tell the jurors, same thing he told them a while ago. You are to ignore, or whatever that right terminology is, however it is they say that, anything that has not been evidence, blah, 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 basically. All of the above. Right, Spins. I'm sorry, honey. Feel better. Right, Akasha? You definitely do want to hear the rest of the story, David. That's for sure. Mm-mm-mm. Bum, 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 bum. They're coming one right after the next. These hardcore yawns. I'm so sorry. It's that 3 o'clock slump. Michelle said this judge is just wasting everyone's time. I think a mistrial is in order and retry the two men together with conspiracy to commit murder. I think that would be probably the best bet. Probably would be the best bet. Gina, okay, hun. See you later. Thanks for hanging out. Patricia must have got to that part. David said, no, not really, because he's playing God and thinks he's doing God's work. Take the evidence to the police and get Aida removed from the house. Help him kidnap her. There were other ways. Oh, I agree with that. Yeah. I mean, I mean, no. There were for sure other ways. Either way, any way you look at it, any way you slice this pie, so to speak, or this pizza, so to speak, he's going to jail. He's not going to walk free. Whether the jury is like, yeah, I'm glad that he did it, but he still did it. He's going to have to go to jail. Prison for it, you know. I mean, the fact of the matter is if um, we can't just let everybody that kills only bad people, you know, just run around for free. I mean, as much as I love Dexter, and I love me some Dexter, you know, as much as I love me some Dexter. Mm. Michelle said it too, like Dexter. Right. Uh, Miss King says there were other ways, exactly. Let the jury hear it, and I think most people can understand he was in the wrong. Yeah. I like the one I'm watching now. Not sure if I will like the next original Dexter. Hmm. Uh, uh, uh. I don't know. Oh, Michelle, you mean Dexter Original Sin with the young guy that's playing Dexter? Yeah. I will say that for the most part, I have been um, pretty impressed with the young Dexter in Original Sin. I've been pretty impressed with the looks and with the, you know, Dexter vibes. I mean, I feel like he does a really, really good job. And I think out of the entire cast, The one I'm really impressed with, the Deb, who they get to play young Deb, and who they get to play young Angel. Um, oh, and the young, um, oh shoot, what's his name? The guy that laughs stupid. That one. I forget his name. Um, Okie doke, Rodney. Take the doggy for the walk. Hmm. David, did you just get to the part where he flips out? Right, we thought that 2 outbursts ago. True. Oh, Aurelia just got caught up too. She said, "Oh, I just got caught up and heard his last statement." Yeah. Why am I wanting to call the other Michelle, the other lab rat, the why am I wanting to call him Mufasa? That's not it. That's the Lion King's dad. Masuka. That's it. Ah, there we go. I knew it was something like that. I just could not remember it for the life of me. But yeah, the characters that they have in the new original Sin, the young characters, younger version, they're really really good. Aurelius as well. One, I don't buy he was just doing it to save the girl. I don't either. I'm not sold on that. I'm not sold on that fact. Reason being, I feel like he didn't really know that that all was going on. I'm not buying, I'm not going to say it didn't happen or that he didn't know, but I'm not purely sold on the fact that he knew 100% that the stuff was going on with the daughter. Cuz I didn't know about it confirmation wise until after she was already dead. But again, like somebody had said in the chat, maybe the little girl told him, told the dad. I don't know, but I think there's more behind that. Now I know the roses were just incidentally part of his cover, right? I think he's either John Mellow's boyfriend or for money. Michelle thinks there's an affair between Zach and the dad. Yeah. Yeah. Could have been blackmail. Could have been blackmail. Yep. Possibly. Hmm. Akasha said, this guy has a boyfriend somewhere, I'll say that. Well, in prison. Rise of Phoenix says, even if he were having an affair, that wouldn't be reason to kill her. They weren't together. I personally think what he's saying is true. I mean, so Rise of Phoenix, let me ask, because I'm not going to say it's not, but I was thinking about this last night, and I'm like, if he is stone cold saying I did it because she was being CSAM'd and I did it to save her. Nobody allegedly knew about the CSAM until after she was murdered. So, how did he know about it? And my thing is if he did know, if they did have confirmation of it, full blown proof of it, then why didn't they take that to the cops and say, here's your proof? You've been looking for years. I've been telling you for years they're doing this to my child and nobody's believing me. Here's your proof. Now go take her away from them. You know? So that to me tells me that he didn't do it because of the CSAM stuff. Akasha says, okay, so he did say that he knew when they did the Zoom call with her dad. Yeah, they did report abuse, but not the CSAM stuff. He testified earlier that the dad told him, and all reports to authorities went by the wayside. They said abuse wasn't found. Right, they did say that the abuse wasn't found, but what I mean is the dude's going to go on the dad's word that she was being abused? You know? Believed it was happening. I don't think they had the CSAM until after, but they did have reports. Yeah, they did have the reports. They did have the reports. It's very possible that the daughter confided in him. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, he was going on and on. I'm not going to do it for $5,000. I'm not going to do it for $10,000. I'm only going to do it if I have verified, know that I know that I know that I know that they're doing it to her, and you know, right, Akasha, and if they would let the guy talk about it, we would know more. Me too, Rise of Phoenix. I'm surprised it took them this long to arrest the dad. Yeah. Miss King says it's very hard to have a child taken from the mom, especially when it's a girl. Wait. It's very hard to have a child taken from the mom, especially when the mom is a little. When the. Something is a little unhinged, too. The dad, you mean? When the dad's a little unhinged? Hey, Spiteful Pelican. Cute name. I think they had no evidence up until this point of Mello's involvement. Just conjecture. Especially if he wasn't paid money. I'm just saying. If I don't have. Not that I would have had even if I had the proof. But the dude was acting on the stand like there's no way I would do this unless I knew for a fact. Well, I I don't feel like he could have known for a fact unless he saw it with his own two eyes. You know? Oh, Ween Baby. Honey, honey, honey. Did you see Ween Baby? Was you here a while ago whenever the whole ruckus broke down? Ween Baby? Whenever he basically tells the jurors that they have proof of the CSAM, but the state's keeping it from them. And the prosecutor just about loses his ever loving mind and blows his whole top off his head. Apparently, Sherry. Yeah, we're in real time. Oh, Ween Baby, you gotta go back. Go back until you see movement going on and him on the stand talking. It's been quite a bit. It's been a little ways back. But yeah, rewind it some. Go find it. And then they call the whole thing to a halt and they throw the jurors out again. Yeah, Kasha says to shut your client up. Yeah, it's at the very end of what he says, Michelle said. Yeah, it's at the very end of what Zach says that causes the rip roar. Aw, thanks, Spiteful. She says hello. Sorry, first time heard about y'all from Kathy over at GRI. Hello and welcome. Ween Baby's like, why do I always miss the best parts? Ooh. John Mello's charges have just been entered into the public index. He's charged. Oh, and Ween Baby, John Mello was charged. He's been arrested. Ween Baby, Ween Baby, Ween Baby, Ween Baby. I gotta type it in the chat because she's not gonna hear me. He was arrested like what? Uh, Maybe an hour ago. Justice Lover 23, hi and welcome, says Long Crime Chat is saying Hughes was sentenced to 6 months in jail for contempt. Oh my God. Oh my God. This is insanity, man. I cannot. Yep, right here. Confessed killer Zach Hughes has been sentenced to 6 months in prison for contempt of court after repeatedly violating South Carolina Circuit Court Judge Patrick Fant's order not to discuss CSAM allegations against his victim. Lord have mercy. Yeah, I'm not surprised. I was waiting on it to happen earlier. Mm. Me too, Morgana. Me too, absolutely. It's the only one I feel sorry for is the daughter. 100% spins. 100%. I know, right? Hard to even call them people, right? They're like monsters, man. Hopefully, the rest of her family is sane and will protect her. Well, according to some things I've heard around the block, the grandparents are have been alleged to have been a little shady. Whether that's true or not, I have no idea. That's just what I've heard. That they were not the best kind of people, but I have no idea. No idea. Oh, why did it bounce like that? Why did it bounce like that? There was just accusation spins about Sugar Booger with the dad, I think maybe, um, and I can't remember what all other allegations, but um, I read about that or saw that on I think the Fitz News, Fitz Files. Oh, right, Aurelia. If a family has the girl, I hope they know eyes are on them always, right? Jeez. Mm-mm-mm. Insanity. Um, I'm wondering if they're going to call it done for the day and make the jurors just go home and come back tomorrow and then have a big fist fight in the middle of the courtroom to determine what they're going to do. I don't know. I do not know. I keep refreshing. but I haven't got to come up with anything yet. Oh, okay, good, Latanya. Thank you. I kept refreshing but wasn't seeing anything. Okay, there we go. Gigi posted, Zach Hughes is finished on direct. The judge called the attorneys to the bench and ends court for today. 10:30 return time tomorrow, and the court is mindful there could be snow here in the morning. All right. All right. Right, Cherie. They got their boxing gloves on. I know, right, Aurelia? I'm sure. Just regard that, y'all. I knew he would do that. I knew he would. Remember, I said, just ignore, jurors, ignore what you heard. That wasn't evidence. Blah blah blah. I knew he would do that. Okay. If you say so. Well, I guess if they're done for the day, we're done for the day. It's been a long, eventful day in the courtroom from my seat in my house. And can you believe it? We've seen some crazy things during trials that we watch, but this has been probably the craziest. Right, Miss King? That's a good catch. Miss King said so the prosecution does not want to cross. Could you imagine? Oh my God. They're like, we just want that boy to shut up, never open his mouth again. No, thank you. Definitely a wild day. Love you, Gail. You know it, Miss King. The prosecution, they're like, no, no, we don't want him to, we don't even want him to breathe a whisper of nothing. We want him to sit over there with his mouth shut, not say a word. Not a word. Not necessarily they just said he is done on direct. Or do they mean done done? Let me look. Let me go back and read that. Okay, true. It does say Zach is finished on direct. The judge called the attorneys to the bench and ends court for today. 10:30 return time tomorrow, and the court is mindful there could be snow here in the morning. Okay. So, that's true. Kathy Russin 4 minutes ago said they came back for just a few minutes. Direct exam is over. The jury was sent home until 10:30 a.m. tomorrow. Whatever is now going to happen in court, we aren't allowed a camera. So, they've thrown the media out. Um, wow. Crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. I don't know. I mean, the prosecution, They might come up with something overnight that they might want to get him up on the stand to say. You know, I don't know. I don't know. No, not for the rest of the trial spins. Just the judge has made a ruling that when the jury is out of the room, the cameras are not to be recording. So we don't get to hear any arguments that are outside the presence jury. We don't, that they're not streaming those. They were at the beginning of the trial, but then the judge quickly was like, "Yeah, we're going to stop that." So, well, we'll go. I'm going to go. I know the stream is still going, like Law and Crime hasn't turned it off yet, but I can't imagine that we would see anything massive. I'll go ahead and end for today. Y'all keep your Law and Crime. Head over to Law and Crime and catch anything that's left over, if there is even anything. I'm assuming they're going to end the stream soon, um, since they've already sent the jury home. But yeah. Um, Let me just double check. Yeah, I don't think they do anything more after that. Mm, yeah. All right. Yeah. He would be definitely difficult to cross. That's for sure. That's for sure. And, they risk him blurting out more things because at this point he's like, oh, shoot, what, 6 months? I've already got 6 months contempt. Just throw me some more time, Judge. That's all right. I'll pay 30 days per word. Uh, anyway, they said 10:30 tomorrow. So I'm assuming that means 11 Eastern. So we'll see you around that time, 10:30, 11-ish, in the morning. All right, you guys. Thanks for hanging out. Wacky, crazy day. I appreciate you watching it with me. Make sure to hit the thumbs up before you leave. Subscribe if you're new, and make sure to click that notification bell so you don't miss anything. And if you guys are watching this on the replay, make sure to put a hashtag replay in the comments so that I know that you stopped to watch the replay. All right. Thanks to all the new folks that have popped in. I appreciate you guys coming and checking us out. We love new faces around here too. So we have a good bunch over here. We're like crimey Tommy family, right? Yeah, we'll see you back tomorrow. Good night, Morgana. Y'all stay warm. See you tomorrow. Bye.